morning, Transpac race fans. This is Dobbs Davis giving you the July 22nd daily race analysis for the 48th running of the LA-Honolulu Transpac. We will start off today, as we usually do, with our race tracker, showing where the teams are out on the racetrack with a 6-hour delay in their positions. Just to remind everyone, this 6-hour delay is put in by the organizers to allow the teams to sail their own race and not necessarily be using the tracker for tactical reasons. The real story here today is a couple of things. One, the fleet that started on Monday are about 500 to 600. The leaders are 500 to 600 miles out. When we look over here at Celerity, the Santa Cruz 37, they've slowed down a bit. 5 knots must be maybe between squalls or something. That doesn't seem quite correct, because they've been moving along at a pretty good clip. But when the tracker took this snapshot of their speed and position, it got them at 5 knots. But you can see that they're only 521 miles out from the finish line. However, Patriot at just under 600 miles is still leading in Division 7 and leading in the overall scoring. They're going at a little less breeze, a little less speed as well. They've been typically doing 8 or 9 knots, so perhaps there is something to this area here being a little lighter wind. In behind them, Marjorie is at 7.6 knots. It's a much bigger boat, of course, a split rig ketch, but they too will be maybe coming into a zone of slightly lighter pressure. Transformer, on the other hand, at 8.5, still has good pressure. They made a concerted decision early, as you can see by their track up here, to go north and stay in the pressure, as the wind is shifting in this area more to the east and even a little bit to the southeast. So everybody has to be on port jibe for sure coming in. But you know, we won't see any more. Probably won't see any more tracks of anybody jobbing back out from this point on in the race. They're probably pretty close to a ley line into Hawaii. Precepts 2, Beneteau first 40, 8 knots. So you know, they're going along at a pretty good clip. This little jog here is curious. Andiamo, maybe again a squall has got them in a position where they can still play the shifts. They're close enough to the rum line that they've got some room to get out to the right if they need to, if the shift shows that. But one interesting aspect of the positions of these boats and the distance they have left to the finish. At 600 miles, remember, you go a little over 8 knots, you can be in Hawaii in 3 days. Back over here, out of the Saturday finishes, Saturday starters, and the one of the largest boats in the fleet, Wild Oats, they are just about twice as far away at 1,200 miles out, and they are going just about twice as fast. So it is still possible in an ideal world for Wild Oats to get to Hawaii before this group, but they would need to have good pressure and sustained pressure to do that. Right now it's even, but you know, we'll keep our eye on this. One of the things that I worry about a little bit down here is these boats that are down to the south. They really have not been moving very fast. You can see by the jog. I'll zoom in a little more, make this easier to look at. The jogs and erratic tracks of these boats, Fortissimo, Wind Dancer. I think these guys down here, Pipe Dream, you know, they've got to figure out a way to get around what'll be some uncertain weather in this area. Fortissimo was going quite slow yesterday. Perhaps they've gotten a little bit more breeze now. This is a small boat, 30-foot sport boat, and they've just gotten down here to the south of rum line, where it hasn't been very good for this race. Now, looking up, we'll go a little further north, and as you can see, the Saturday starters have overtaken and are amongst and overtaking the Thursday starters, but everybody's moving along, not particularly fast, but they do have wind. Hamashi, where's Hamashi? they're all pretty well bunched together. A lot of them may be within sight of each other, in fact. Our Division 4 leader is Greg Slingstead and Hamashi. They have been doing well this race, despite going very, very far north. They've remained in the pressure. The calculations like their position and what they're doing, so they do have the lead in Division 4. What's interesting here in the Division 1 group, the three 100-footers, Rio 100, Ragamuffin 100, and Wild Oats, is that Rio has been going at a clip fast enough to actually take the corrected time lead in the class. So their speeds have been matching these two other 100-footers who are canting keel boats and certainly go faster in most points of sail and are rated much faster. So Rio, in staying close, is able to be defeating them in corrected time. The other interesting thing note is up here at Fado. They've actually caught up a bit to the multi-hull elapsed time leader, Extreme H2O. You can see their boats are going along fairly well. 15 knots, 11 knots for Fado. Fado is leading that class in corrected time. And then down here, Second Wind, the Swan 651, continues to lead in Division 6. They've got that big Swan moving along pretty well. It's 8.7 knots. In not making the long distance track away from the rum line, they're minimizing their distance into Hawaii. And if I can find it in here, there's another division leader, Paranoia Santa Cruz 52. At 7 knots, they're not moving particularly fast. This group is in light air. And Pyewacket, 8.8 knots. Again, not particularly fast for a ULDB sled, but they are leading in first in Division 3 as of this position report. But everybody bunched up, everybody having more or less the same strategies here. A few guys down here closer to the rum line, minimizing the distance, but they're doing it at some cost. Now, the S40 Crescent 3, they've been kind of erratic in what they've been performing on the course. I've been sort of keeping an eye on them, but they have stuck close to the rum line. This may come good for them at some point when the weather stabilizes. Down here, Kazan, a DK46, 6.5 knots, not particularly fast for that boat, but they are moving along and at minimal distance. Oops, sorry about that. So the other good news is the boats that are returning back to the mainland. Bazinga, the Hobie 33 at 4.9 knots. That's good news because they were struggling a bit with their alternate steering method. And then Avanti heading back at 7.4 knots. So it looks like they're going to be able to get to the mainland without needing assistance, and that's all good. Now, let's go to our weather. This persistent feature here of light wind continues to plague the middle of the track. We've seen how the crews are out there now trying to get through this thing. Some have opted to try and go around to the south. That hasn't worked very well. Ragamuffin and the others way up to the north. Wild Oats trying to plow through it. They are moving along. It may not be quite as bad as shown here. Let's just have a look from GFS to the Euro model. Perhaps see, yeah, so the Euro model gives more or less the same information and same predictions. This is basically real time, not real time, but actual time now in the model. If we go forward just about 24 hours, we see it start to dissipate a bit, not become quite as light. Again, this has been fairly consistent in the weather modeling throughout this week. Everybody's positioning themselves to take advantage of this the big high pressure Pacific high that's sitting well up to the north. The isobars for that are starting to tighten up as they come south, and better pressure filling in across the course in the northerly area. What's interesting, of course, is this feature here, which is the remnants of a tropical system. The model seems to think there's a lot of breeze associated with this thing, but we haven't really seen that yet in any of the tracking performance data that we're getting. So I'm not sure how real this thing is. One other thing I wanted to alert everybody to this morning is this program here, the Mega Expedition. This is a program called the Ocean Cleanup. It's a very interesting project where large floating booms are proposed to be deployed, not just in the Pacific but in other areas in the oceans to help clean up floating debris. Transpac has partnered with this program so that several boats, not several, actually dozens of boats, are going to be participating in this transect. So as shown in the graphic here, boats on their way back to the mainland will be positioning themselves along lines of latitude to basically do a survey of this area that's been called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. I tell a story now because we have a report from the guys on Wild Oats, Roy Pat Disney, who's put together the Australian and American effort to campaign this boat this year in the Transpac, had the following quote in a race report. The race has been the trickiest ever. The winds have been unbelievably fickle, but making the situation even more demanding now is the massive field of debris we've sailed into. We are seeing at least 3 bits of junk every minute: timber, fishing nets, plastic poles, poles that have broken away from commercial fishing nets, you name it, and it's probably here. It's so bad that we have a man stationed permanently on the foredeck to alert the helmsman of anything we might hit. That's our problem right now, but it will be even tougher when it's dark. So that helps describe what we all have known as a problem. The last race in 2013, it was particularly bad because of the tsunami the year earlier in Japan, and a lot of debris that had broken free from that event had gotten into the North Pacific. So this is this program, the Mega Expedition, that will also have trackers. You'll be able to see those that want to follow how they're progressing back to the coast. It's quite an ambitious program. These are all the participants that are going to be involved, and it's quite an impressive list of Transpac entries. So we want to congratulate everybody on helping save the environment, helping with this very ambitious project. That'll be very interesting to see how effective it is. It's very interesting. So those that want, feel free to visit the website at theoceancleanup.com. So that's our report for today, the 22nd of July. It is Wednesday, and boats are 600 miles out, still a few days to go. So for the 22nd of July, I'm Dobbs Davis from Seahorse Magazine. We'll sign off for now and hope to see you again tomorrow.